Geez, if this place could tell a story. I've been driving past here for years and I always think of Steinbeck. This sad old place. You know, the depression and the heat, the pine trees. It's kind of grim, but it's an amazing scene too. Golly, it's a total window into history. This house reminds me of Tortilla Flat, great Steinbeck book. There's a scene where a mum of 9, Teresina Cortez, feeds her kids beans with a ladle off the stove straight onto the floorboards. The kids come from everywhere and they eat the beans off the floor. The nurse hears about this at the school, tells the doctor comes around, examines the kids, and lo and behold, the kids are the healthiest kids he's ever examined. I remember reading this and it was such a good scene, and I love beans, and I thought, isn't that sound of the beans on the floor? I thought, I love beans. I love doing self-experiments. What if I just eat beans and beans only? Why don't I eat my body weight in beans and see how I feel? And so that's what I'm going to do. Eat my body weight in beans. It's so good. All the ingredients. Oh. Let me tell you about food, because I eat really well. I'm lucky. I eat lots of vegetables, heaps of grains and cereals and beans, probably too much fruit, a little bit of meat, lots of milk and dairy, and not enough fresh fish. If I was to be marooned on an island, I would take spotty, ripe bananas, licorice, and good bread. I drink tea, coffee, and alcohol. In fact, I drink too much tea, coffee, and alcohol. I weigh 85 kilograms. An average tin of beans is 420 grams. I intend to eat nothing but tins of beans for as long as it takes to consume the equivalent of my body weight. For simplicity, I'm eating half a dozen varieties of tin beans from a regular supermarket. This is so I can eat on the run and spend almost no time eating, making, or thinking about food. My key litmus test for this experiment will be running. How I feel when I run correlates to what I eat, which for my entire life has been eating everything. To see how this whole experiment pans out, in 40 days' time I'll run a 50k ultramarathon in the mountains, eating my final tins during the race. Yes, I'll get blood tests before, during and after, but for the most part I'm curious as to how I actually feel and function eating just one thing. Because I'm just making up this self-experiment based on half a page of a Steinbeck book, the rules are somewhat arbitrary, made for me and this film. Now, the kids on Tortilla Flat, they had tortillas with their beans. I will be just eating what is in the tin. I'm even taking the labels off just to give myself a spice of life. My one luxury will be tea with a splash of milk, just to save myself from going bonkers. Couldn't be any more hipster if I tried. Got the hipster bike and the pants pulled up and the boots, and you just rock up to work with keys and a train ticket. There it is. How's this? That's lunch and afternoon tea. Just, and the spoon. Love it. There's tin number 2. I had tin number 1 on the radio this morning. That was fun. Can you see the slurry? Can you smell it? Before I went on radio, I had a lot of licorice because I knew I was going to be craving licorice. Oh, it's good. And now, I'm just on this simple road of bean pleasure for the next 30 or 40 days. All right, so far so good. Not sick of them yet.
I do wonder how this will impact me and the food that I eat. If I will start eating more beans as a side effect. I don't know why it doesn't appeal to me.
Not even close to being sick of that yet. The wind issue so far has been a little bit higher, I've got to admit. It ain't no myth.
I can't believe you just Got the camera out quickly to get that.
I ran to the end of the road and back when I was about 12, and I've been hooked on running ever since. When I'm running well, it feels like I'm part of a world-class symphony. Everything's in order, the conductor has her eyes closed, and the crowd never doubt what they're hearing. When running is bad, it's as if part-time musicians have come together, got drunk, and started playing an instrument they've never played before. I feel like that's the first run I've ever done. You would never run if that's what it felt like. Maybe that's the reality check. You know, I've been running around pretty fit for 2 decades, and you wonder why people don't do, why they don't run more. 6 kilos of beans in. That's the experiment, hey? So it's been a steady decline in mood, energy, and general life in the last 4 days. I don't think it's the dear old beans' fault. I think it's the other kind of beans' fault. Effects of not having coffee. Helen thinks I'm one of the few people she's ever met that would do something like this, and I say, Dale, do you know how easy it is to not eat anything other than beans? It's the simplest thing in the world. I've taken away all my choices. So it's actually a lot easier than a regular person's eating habits. And I just lost the equivalent of 1 tin of beans in sweat. They are good. The body's getting used to beans. It's finally catching up. It's getting the message that, dude, all I'm giving you is beans, so you better help out. You never realise just how much incidental food you shove in your gob throughout the day. So I walk past catering events and a big bowl of fruit and some Smarties, and I can't eat any of it. It's a bugger of a time to eat only beans because everything's in fruit, stone fruit, apples. So instead of eating it, I'm going to preserve it. I'm going to go and spend a few hours with Gran, and we're going to put these in jars and bottles. Do you eat many beans?
Not really.
I used to think that if I sweated about that much, it was a good run. Well, that wasn't a particularly good run at all. This is 10% carbohydrates or thereabouts. I've had my whole life eating 60% carbohydrates, bread and rice and pasta and all the other marvels that sort of load up your muscles. These do not. I don't know how I'm going to run 50 Ks on beans when on a perfect day like today, perfect running conditions, I feel like that. Why are you cooking like this when I'm eating them?
Because I have free range in the kitchen now. You're not in there going, you know, I want this meal done in 10 minutes. I can actually just enjoy being in the kitchen by myself and doing stuff like this.
Are you eating nachos with a knife and fork?
Yeah, because
I saw you chop through a nacho. Should we do this for the rest of our life?
do what?
You eat whatever you eat, and I'll eat whatever I eat.
All you need to highlight is this is unfortunate for you.
Do you like black bean style?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm out of luck if I don't I?
Are you telling yourself that?
I feel lonely with every step that I take. I don't feel good and my body starts to shake. I fell in love with a girl I haven't seen her met.
That's 10, 11 Ks just purely mountain run on beans. You know, I think what it does, beans take the top level out, but they also kind of fudge the bottom level, because I've got this sort of, I just feel completely average, but completely fine. So here's all the tins that I've eaten so far. All these guys. So I thought, why don't I plant beans inside the tin? So I'm just making some drainage holes for them. And I'm going to plant 50 dwarf beans. Day 14 and I've finally cracked the code. Eat less beans, Beau. I was eating 5 or 6 tins to get more energy, and it went the other way.
Black beans. Damn.
So I'm eating 4 tins now, and my metabolism's making it work. What a remarkable thing. So I had pep. I had pep just then for the first time in 2 weeks. Home for beans. I'm hungry.
Oh, black bean. Damn it. I had black bean for lunch.
Do you feel like eating them?
I was increasingly irritable.
No.
Did you want to brush your teeth first?
No.
Annoyed by others.
You're annoying.
And myself.
I'm getting cranky and irritable and I'm becoming a dick.
I guess you could say I was whittling away the Beauisms of my personality. Yet it was a strangely appealing place to be, wedged into a new norm of 5s and 6s out of 10.
Food on the floor.
Because I knew exactly why I was feeling that way. I was on track for the unexpected.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I thought I might find a new religion.
My oracle, the bean.
Oh.
Or become a poet. Or the colour green might start to look different. Life was vanilla, and I was kind of enjoying being my own experiment.
91. 91.
I think 6 cans of beans each day is too much. It's some sort of bean overload. 5 feels okay. 4 feels better. So I'm going to have 7. I'm going to crack on with 7 tins of beans, which puts me above the halfway mark. I'm going to go for a big run in the morning, see how it plays out. And I wonder if my body's just saying, "Hey, Beau, you're low on something, son." Maybe I'm just getting old. This is what tins of beans does to you. Makes your capillaries weak. I noticed that too. This is a bit of a thing. I have that on nearly every one of my shirts at the moment. Little trace of beans. Beans have been here. But in 3 weeks' time, all I'm going to eat is preserved apple. Maybe I'll just go from beans to apple for a month. But look at that! The most beautiful apple. I really want to eat that. The 110. You beauty, far out. I was asked today what's going to be my first food I eat when I finish. Licorice, spotty bananas, apple, bowl of vegetables, green leafy things, milk, a massive glass of milk, bread, a loaf of bread the size of my head that's as dense as my head, which is pretty thick. I'm getting dumber. Every kilo I lose, I'm getting dumber. I think my vocab's reducing. If running is my default for how I feel in the world, I'm certainly subpar, but it's a good kind of subpar. I feel leaner and in a sense fitter, even though I know I'm not. It's a fascinating and pointless experiment, this. What in the hell is the point of this, Beau? I want to get through this security check with a tin of beans, and I don't think I'm going to be allowed to. That sharp lid is sharp. I've cut my finger already. He's trying, hey? Am I allowed to take a tin of beans, mate?
Yeah, you just put them all in the tray.
Right. Don't suppose you've got anything with beans in it, do you? Yeah. That's all right, I bought my own. Just beans. Weird diet. Everything's just beige. You know, I had to pull over and just smell what the world smelt like. Food makes me peppy and creative and more emotive, more energized, healthy. And eating beans only makes me healthy in one particular way, but deadens everything else, you know? And here I am on the edge of a highway at a service station questioning everything. You know, there's some really serious connotations to just eating beans, your body weight in beans. It reduces the complexity. And we have huge potential to be complex, humans. To be human is to eat. We are what we eat. Our culture, our society, our moods, our physicality. Bloody meaning for life is probably through our food. I'd stumbled upon my Steinbeck scene. I was a traveller in someone else's landscape, stopped up in a place I didn't think I'd be, eating something to sustain myself.
Decided to study the effects of a diet of beans by eating absolutely nothing else until he's consumed his own body weight. And he joins us from Melbourne. Thank God for that.
I'm trying to bring out a narrative, and I'm not sure what it is other than just eating a lot of beans. And I've got to bring some... Oh, no, that sounds ridiculous. And so that's what I'm saying to myself. What's the story, man?
I've just done the math, and I need to eat 62 more tins between now and the race at 5.6 tins a day. You don't really care, do you?
I live with a bounty of food around me. I've just been pottering outside with the apples and peaches and pumpkins and beans. Ripper, next batch of beans. You little beauty. And it pleases me a lot that I'm able to eat that pumpkin in 12 or 13 days' time. So we're in good shape. Today's been a good day, but the last week has not. I don't know where my wife is. Wife having a date with another man. Fair enough too.
Don't get me in this.
What do you mean?
I look terrible.
Oh, come on.
I look terrible.
Don't get me in this.
I'm real hungry. I have no idea what number tin this is. 142!
144th tin.
Does that look a little bit better?
I'm not even close to losing a love of beans. That's why we're bound for success, because I'll never get sick of you.
There you go. Hour and 22, my longest bean run. Thought you're running with a hangover or no sleep.
How are you going to go running 50 Ks, Dale?
Oh, horribly. I'm going to go horribly at that run. So imagine if I do a big piece to camera, I'm just pissed off. This is the worst thing in the world. And everyone watching can say, Beau, you dick. You did this to yourself. You chose to eat beans and you chose to go for a run. Otherwise, sit on the couch and shut up. Which is fair enough. I'd say shut up too. And I've tooted a lot. I basically was propelled along. Day 34 and 160 tins in. It's the first sort of anaerobic thing I've done in 5 or 6 weeks.
Spot on the shirt. That's not the first. Mexican 3 bean mix.
This is my least favourite of the juices. And is earth-shatteringly bland.
I'm entering the event as Beau Miles.
I've had to not think about food for 40 days. 0. Just whether I'd like another tin of beans.
I'm sick of the taste.
And even that wasn't a hard decision. It was either eat 7, 6, 5 or 4. And most of the time it was 5. So it was really a basic decision.
My last office tin, at least as part of this project. 4 bean mix. Classic.
Oh yeah. This is what you do when you have friends over for dinner. Bring your tin. This is the most kind of cooking I've done in 40 days. Decanting them into another vessel. I could be just now getting drunk for the next 3 hours sitting around with my best mates, but no, I'm going to go to bed early because I've got to get up early to run a long way on frickin' beans. You know, these choices, it's weird. And I've been pretty grumpy for a couple of weeks, and that's kind of the angle of it. No, I've got all my kit in there. When you're bland, I don't suppose it affects the person who's bland, it affects the person you're around.
So yeah, poor old Helen, she might have married a really boring man. Set off by beans. There you go, there's my running food. 1.8 kilograms of beans. That's it. That's my body weight. The run's called the Lumberjack because we're in an old sawmilling town. This year I'll chop through the log and then I'll down my axe and then I'll run the race as well. And here's a little bit of wicked science for you. I have 1.5 kilos of water, 4 tins of beans. So the weight here is almost identical to the weight I've lost eating beans for the last 40 days. And now I'm carrying it on my freaking back. The only thing I'm going on at the moment is I'm a touch lighter. I like being in the forest and I've run for a lot of years, but otherwise I'm not prepared for this. I'm eating beans for Christ's sake. Bit lighter. Look at that, that's a good comparison. And then these are going to be clanging around my backpack. See you later. I'm secretly looking forward to it, the sort of demise of myself out there on the trail, because at least I'm then in the company of big beautiful trees and I can suffer in a nice place. I just figured, it's kind of genuine this way. I haven't run 50Ks for years, for probably 4 years, 5 years, because the first 10 or 15K will feel good, it always does, and then the wheels come off slowly. I think it goes up from here. So no runners up this bit. Bloody steep. But I am beans right now, everything. My eyeballs, my fingernails, my hair, my heart, everything is beans. And it's not quite right. I'm not quite right compared to what I am usually. But it's still pretty potent. We run the flat stuff. I don't like the clapping just yet. I still. Yeah, this is my third tin. That's a hard 10Ks, not lying. And it means this 18Ks is going to be hard. I think it's probably about the 37K mark or so. I'm running on the finish line, but it could have been worse, I think. So I've got to. I know that's annoying. It's annoying when I revert to being optimistic, but you'd never get to the finish line if you just turn on the grumps at about now. You know, when people hear about this project, they think it's very fun and lighthearted and sort of a surface level experiment. But it's not, because for 38 days, all I've thought about is how I'm feeling based on one food. And it's been nothing less than profound, and the insights that I've gained to my, I suppose, to my identity, myself. And so there'll be more experiments that are uncomfortable and that I don't like and that I question. And I don't know what compels me to want to be uncomfortable. I'm spilling it. This is tin 191, the last time. I might even just walk a little. Last tin of the project. But how about that? 191 tins, 40 days, and the whole world of food awaits.
I can tell you one thing for certain. You don't have boundless energy when full of beans. That old saying's a myth. I had the thought that the grocery store represents the full spectrum of human emotions, and that by reducing what I buy from the store, I reduced my ability to feel those emotions. But Steinbeck was right. If you have 400 pounds of beans in the house, you have no fear of starvation. And maybe over time, beans would have given me my old self back. But for now, having consumed 81 kilograms of legumes, I was done. And with my amazing bean skin and bean hair and 4 bean teeth, I ran slowly but surely towards the finish line.
50K finisher coming through. Very sun smart, I like it. It's the Lumberjack!
I was curious to eat beans, and only beans, because I think I only half know myself. More than that, I think I'm only half an adventurer. This journey was about not seeing, but feeling something that was challenging and odd and far away and perhaps elusive. That is, I didn't really want to go anywhere, but I still wanted to feel like I was adventuring into an unknown place.
So was it hard?
Yeah.
Well, hang on a second, then what did you eat at the end?
Food can reveal what's going on within because it's the one thing that has access to the nuts and bolts of my body. Food is me. I am food. In becoming a human being, I cornered myself into thinking long and hard about what makes me me and what I'm capable of based on what I eat. Back in the land of produce. Fresh stuff. Oh yeah, it smells fishy, vegetable-y. Oh wow. That is good. What a marvellous thing. I can feel it soaking into my legs. Yeah. They're very thankful for this exotic diet. Mmm. Mmm. Whoa. Apple cider vinegar. Imagine going into a bar and saying, I'll have a shot of apple cider vinegar, thanks. I need to improve my gut health.